So what you need to understand about this abomination, I know I've been using that word a lot, it's just this was another abomination created. I'm going to tell you why. What kills me is that, because even though it says here 1948, see it says that was its first assembly, this was really thought out in like the 1920s, even earlier than that, was already being talked about by somebody from Sweden. Okay, like whenever you get into the area of Germany there, it's like, I know it's not Germany, but it's like there's just problems there, okay? Because of what the Catholic Church did to them. See, the problem with this is and I don't understand it. I'm baffled. I'm so baffled how nobody at any point along the way, especially here in America, recognized that the world, do you not think that the world did this see, the world recognized, like, in the 17th century, seeing all these Protestants, it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Something's happening. Everybody's heading to the new world. They're willing to risk their lives. They don't want anything to do with the Vatican. And the Vatican's like, yeah, we've seen this before. This is the Holy Spirit at work. This is what we've been trying to kill since we've been created. We've killed people and called it that they were speaking heresy because we have tried to keep this Holy Spirit from becoming a thing again, and now here's God moving everybody to the new world. So see, that would have been my thought process. I guess nobody else that really like seeks God's wisdom. Do they even read the Bible? Doubtful. Do they even own a Bible? My thought would be, as an American, why is all of Europe and suddenly the world coming to us saying, let's become a coalition? Like, that would have been like, hey, you know what? Hey, peace be with you, and you know what? We can be friendly, but we're not going to get on board. But instead, for whatever ridiculous, moronic reason, all of the churches, right from the get-go in the U.S., said, yeah, let's do this. So nobody reading the Bible. The Methodist Episcopal Church of the U.S. got on board with it. The Presbyterian Church got on board with it. The Federal Council of Churches of Christ in America, which was the primary ecumenical Protestant body in the U.S. Before it evolved into the National Council of Churches. Like, do any of you read the Bible, or do you just create your councils and your worldly and national thing? Like, do any of you ever focus on God? Is he ever the center of anything? Doubtful. Because if he was, this would have never been created. I mean, Europe was already lost, okay? Because, God bless them, but, the Catholic Church it diseased itself all in there, okay? Sorry, just saying. Not sorry, just saying the truth. Something happened there in Spain, something happened there in Germany, something happened all in it's just something was not going on that was good. Because of the abomination there in Rome, okay? This is so obvious to me. Yet here's what happened. They were going to inaugurate their big worldly thing, okay? And then World War II broke out. So I talked in an earlier video, one that nobody will see, because they don't want you to realize that, well, God sometimes sets wars in place because he wants you to stop doing what you're doing. He does. I mean, please read the Bible if you doubt that. It's not, he doesn't do it unjustly. But what kills me is that nobody stopped because they were going to inaugurate their worldliness in 1939. But then World War II broke out. So see, my thought when I read that, I'm like, oh, God was letting them know, no, you're not doing this. You are not going to do this and try to destroy the nation that I've created here. I want it to remain, not that it needs to be a Christian dominating and just be Christian nationalism. No, but it does not need to be joining in with the worldly things. So what happens? World War II broke out. If anybody in this church council knew the word or owned a Bible, then I can't. It's baffling to me how nobody sat back and said, is God trying to tell us maybe we shouldn't do this? Nobody, of course not, because it still is going on today. So this is likely the reason why you've had many of your wars, because, I mean, it's in the Bible. If you don't believe me, ask AI. Not ChatGPT. That thing is, I don't know what, it's something, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, maybe Europe or the Rome controls it. Just, seriously. Like, do Perplexity or just a different AI, okay? It'll tell you. No, and it'll explain why. That's why you have to understand that God, He creates the famines. I know we can't understand it because it seems like, why could God be that mean? Well, because stupid people do stupid things like this. And so God shows His anger, and then many times, like stupid people who are usually the experts in this area or think they're experts because they're theologians and just, leaders of the church, the same damn problem that Jesus was calling out, in the Old Testament when He was woeing the leaders of the church, woeing the scribes. It's the same problem going on today. So they're not, the experts here aren't going to get it. They were even willing to compromise because each denomination of Christianity, they wanted to be so united that they had to come to agreement about, sacraments and all these things. And it's like, did none of you, apparently not, but none of you stop to think that maybe Jesus's word is written and is the way that it is because He wanted division? I know, it's just like never a thing this world thinks about. No, we must be united. The whole world just leaning on their own understanding instead of looking to God and seeking God's wisdom in these areas. Nope, man just says we're going to lean on our own understanding. So then when World War II breaks out, instead of anybody that's in the expert class sitting back thinking, maybe God doesn't want us to do this. No, they wouldn't be smart enough to figure that one out. They decided, no, this is reason we should do it even more. Okay? And I know we can't understand why God, I understand people are like, why would God hurt in His, when God needs to get a large message across, He doesn't. He says in the Bible, He does it with a tear in His eye. Because these are stupid people. These are the experts many times, most especially when it comes to the Bible, they're going to lead you into hell, okay? Most especially when it comes to this and being worldly like this. So if there were any, apparently there were no wise people in the church in the early 1900s or in the 1900s at all, even today. There isn't. They just all follow whatever, some program that they're given. I have no idea. They all went to seminary school. It's what I've said from the beginning. That's the problem. I guarantee you Jesus is very against seminary school in every single way. But it pains God to do those things. But so when wars and famines and things happen, instead of everybody saying we need to do something, everybody should sit back. I understand that people think, no, we have to do something. No, instead of carrying on and creating all your mobilizations and all your factions, you should sit back and say, what is God trying to tell us? Because God can fix everything in the world that He wants, okay? So when these things happen in the world, famines and all these, it may be something that, He's laying down justice. He's the creator. He can do what He wants. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm just saying it's the truth. And this He would never support. As God is my witness, He would never support this abomination. But this abomination came from that other abomination. A bunch of foolish people that no one to this day sat back and said, maybe we're the problem. Are we the problem? Maybe we're the ones that don't know God, even though we wear the fancy robes and the fancy hats and the fancy clothes, and we carry our big crosses and our big staffs, and we tell everybody what the word means, but we ourselves inside have no clue who Jesus is. No, you don't. You don't at all. Okay? Because if any of you did, this would have never taken place. How no one could have figured out that God would never support this is beyond me. And even to this day, nobody figuring that, no, this is worldly. God does not want that. He can handle all the other nations. He can handle each nation on his own. Why don't you let him? Why don't you all get to know him?